And then something I like to use when I want to get good spacing between my elements is what we call auto layout. Auto layout is just is an AI on your Figma that helps you with spacing and patterns. You can use it to get frames. You can also use it for very, very nice spacing. The spacings you get with auto layout is really wonderful. So and it gives you a sense of control because all you need to do is just change one. What you need to change is change the settings once, and all the spacing is across board. It changes across board. So let me try it now, so you see what I'm talking about. So for this, I could just use Shift A to get the auto layout. Use Shift and A. So you can see the auto layout has been added. So basically, this text we have here now. This what we have here. This on the right panel here, I have the settings here. So I have auto layout. So the options here is showing that auto layout has been added to all this. So I could, this, what we have here, space between items. This is what I'm talking about. So now all I need to do is change the spacing I have here once, and all the spacing between shop, contact, authors, and categories will be changing by itself. I don't need to start, without auto layout, I could put contact and then try to set it to shop, check the spacing, then take autos, put it close to contact, try to check the spacing. But that's just stress, because with auto layout here, I could do everything once. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Let me remove the auto layout and show you the difference between both. So let me ungroup this so that we can see the beauty that auto layout provides. So now, if I'm trying to get good spacing between all this text now, I could first come here, make sure I align my contact very well. And then when I do that, I will now have to click Alt to shop to see that it's 46. Okay. So I now come here, also check my authors, bring it here, then make sure I'm checking here, click by clicking Alt to also make sure spacing is 46. But with auto layout, you don't need to do all that. You can just click on everything, click on everything, Shift A, the auto layout has been added. This option pops up. So from here, space between items, I can just say, so immediately I click on the space between items, you can see that I have this space here already highlighted, this space here. So by the time I change this option here, the spacing is going to change across board instantly. So let's just try and use 12 now. 12. Sorry, I didn't change that very well. So 12, enter. You can see all the text are now closer. So the spacing between here, here, and here is now 12. All at once, you can do it once with auto layout. It's very beautiful. So I could also say, let me try using 24. And you can see the spacing is more. I could even go crazy and say I want to use 70, and you see the space it's increased more. So that's the beauty of auto layout. It lets you change everything once without actually having to go through a lot of stress. So for now, let's try 24 for this and keep it there. So I have 24 for this. I'll bring this up here, and then I will want to centralize this. So yeah, so that's that for that. Then the next thing we want to have is your buttons. Yeah, sign in and create account. So yeah, let's have that also. We'll have this text. We'll borrow this text also. Just borrow this text. So I could want to use this for sign in. Good. So this would be the sign in. And also I could have another one that would be create account. So create account. So now here we have it. The texts are ready. So also for buttons, you could also use auto layout for buttons too. You don't necessarily have to use auto layout for spacing alone. Excuse me. But also use it for buttons, to create buttons, because some people, when they want to create buttons, they like to use squares, which is not a bad idea, but you could also take your designs a step further by using auto layout. So now let's imagine I'm going to use the rectangle for this. So, and I put my text in between. I could say my text should be sent to front, bring to front. And now, yeah, this is a button, quite all right, yeah. So let's fill this. Let's fill this. I want to show you more examples of why you should try and incorporate auto layout into your designs. That's why I'm showing this example. So also we could have this, let's change this text to white so that the contrast between that is more obvious. So yeah, this is a button, quite all right, but I used I used a rectangle for this. But how about we try to create a button with auto layout instead and see the difference? So now I could borrow this text. Let me use this text to make a button with auto layout instead. So this text is not obvious now because the text, the color is white, but let's add auto layout to it. So again, I click on Shift A, auto layout has been added, so I could, let me fill the auto layout so that the color comes out and then we can see what I'm talking about. So if I want to add a field to this, let's make it blue like the first one. So if I have this blue also for this text, yeah, so that's the difference. So we have two buttons now. Let's adjust the padding of this. This now is a button without auto layout. This is just a rectangle and a text. But this button is a button with auto layout. So I want to show you the difference between both. So now this is the auto layout settings again, like before. This is for spacing between items. So the spacing between create and account is for this first option we have here, space between items. So then for this is horizontal padding. So by the time we increase the horizontal padding, that adds more space to the horizontal part of that button. So for the horizontal padding, I could have, let's try 16. Let's see how that would look. Yeah, so as you can see, as I increase the horizontal padding now, the button is wider. So let me go back, change that to 16, enter, and you see that the button is wider. Also at the top, that's the spacing, the vertical spacing is for the top and the bottom. So I could leave that as 12. Good. So now our button is wider. So now, yeah, these two are buttons, right? So you're like, so why do I need to use auto layout for my buttons? So now let's look at it this way. Let's say this button now, I decide to change the text for some reason. I want to change the text to sign up instead or register rather than have create account. So let's say I want to do that for both. So for both, if I want to change this to register, for this text, I have register. So now by the time I'm done with this, I now have to adjust the size of this rectangle to fit the register, because I already changed the text now. So I need to adjust the size of this button. But the beauty of auto layout is that by the time I want to do this for this same thing, I won't need to adjust the size of the box again. It adjusts itself. So let's see what I'm talking about exactly. So for this text, if I want to have register, so as you can see, just as I have R, the button itself has already become smaller. So I can have E and then it's bigger again. G, it's bigger again. I, S, T, E, R. So the beauty of auto layout is that it adjusts according to the content inside. So rather than having to start adjusting the box itself, you don't need to do that. And then again, I can move it once and then everything follows. But for this, I have to first group. By the time I move this now, just the text is moving. Unless I group it first. So the beauty of auto layouts is that it just makes everything so much easier for you. So let me delete this. We don't need this anymore. So I have my register button. So let's change that back to create account. Sorry, a mistake with that. So let me change this back to create account. Yeah, so our button is ready. I want to make the buttons, we want to maybe add a little rounded corner radius to the buttons because it looks too sharp. You look at the corner radius here, it looks a little bit too sharp. So we might want to just add a little corner radius to that. So let me make this 8. Just for, to make it, yeah, as you can see now, there's, the corners are no longer as sharp. So it looks friendlier that way. And it doesn't look too serious. So yeah, for this, our button is ready. We'll have that here. Also, like I said, we're going to make sure that it's, 120. We have to make sure we are really, really sticking to that. It must not, cross that. So for the signing, this one is going to be a secondary button. So, the reason is secondary is that we can't have two buttons, having the same color beside each other. It's confusing, so we need to have them different. Let them show that, okay, one is different from the other. This one is a primary button, this one is a secondary button. So that's why we're going to leave this way, just to show that this is also a button, but it doesn't carry as much importance as the other one. So that's why we're leaving it that way. So now again, so my header is ready now. I have my logo, I have my links, and then I have my buttons right here. So let me go to layouts to this also. Shift A. So spacing, can leave that as 24. Center it a little. Good. So yeah. So for this, I could now auto layout everything together. So everything has good spacing between each others, between the remaining. So, and then also it aligns itself when I use auto layout. So Shift A for that, and then my elements are now aligned together. Could also check the spacing I have here. I'll make this 24. Sorry. Click on the frame. Yeah, so I can make. You can see that if I change this a little, I have 24 here. Okay, so now you can see here, there's a problem here already. This frame is saying it's 119 and 120. So yeah, I might want to adjust that a little just to give it. So from here, I can just change the size of this frame, the width. So say fixed width. And then from here, we can make this 1, 2, boom. And that way, you can have 120, 120 on all sides. So now we have 120 on the right, left, 120 on the right, and we have 24 on top. So that way, all our elements, sorry, all our elements are aligned and they are, the header is ready. So that's the first thing you want to do. The header is ready. So let's continue. Let's go to the other part of the design. So also we have a text here that says, explore your favorite books. Okay, so we can also do that. Sorry. So we can also do that. And then we want to have another text here. So let me borrow this text again. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so yeah, we have this. Let's make sure this is still intact. Okay. Let's make sure this is still intact. Okay, good. So yeah, so we have a text we want to use for that. We can have explore your favorite books. Okay, so we can have the same thing here. So here we can have explore your favorite books. Yeah, so that's the text here. Then also want to make sure this is also aligned. If you're aligning to the left, let's bring it to the edge of the page. Also, if you want to move your elements, rather than using your mouse to drag them like this, if you're trying to be precise about where you want it to go, you could use your keyboards, the direction buttons on your keyboard, the up, down, left, and right to also. So once you click on your text or anything, any of your elements, once you click on them, you can just tap, and then your text or your element is moving. So this is to the right, this is to the left. For up, I click on up. For down, I click on down. So that way you're more precise about where you're moving it to, because sometimes when you're trying to move it, you could be having issues trying to get it to where you want it, but because the mouse could be an issue navigating with the mouse. So you can get it close and then use your direction on your keyboard for precision. So yeah, so I could leave this text here. So this is already snapping to this. So I know that this is already 120. You can see that 120. So I could raise this up a little. Yeah, I could raise this up a little. Yeah, let's leave it here first for a while. Let's see how it will look. So yeah, you can see our page is already coming together, So yeah, so this is the first thing we are going to do. We have all this here right now. So yeah, so let's continue. So yeah, next thing I want to have is this big header text, This text is just to the first, it's so big because we want the attention of the users to be on it. That's the first thing we want the users to see when they come to this page. So yeah, so that's why we have this header text this way. So I could also use this, get your new book with the best price. So let's do that too. So get your new books with the best price. So yeah, so now we have it here, the text is here, but like I said, this is a header text, so we need it to be as big as possible. We need to draw attention to itself. We need it to be obvious, so we need to make it as big as we can. So let's try let's try 64. Let me see how that would look. This is way too big. So we could make it maybe like Let's try 56. Let me see how that would look. You just have to make sure it's big enough. Also, let me break this text into two. Where do I start? Okay, let me start from here. See how that would look. Okay, good. Yeah, I think I like this. This is bold enough. Also, you want to make sure it's bold, like really bold. So we need to change this from medium to, let's try bold. Yeah. So because we want this text to get as much attention as we can. Also, as you can see, I'm trying to make sure I have it close to the edge. So we need to make sure we are working with alignment. Everything, all the elements on this page needs to be aligned. So we need to be very conscious of that. At every step of your design, you need to make sure you are working with your alignment. It should be at the back of your mind every time you're designing that. Okay, am I aligning this right now? Because if you are done with the designs and you're trying to now align every piece of element when you are done, it might be a little bit too tasking. So doing it every step of the way is a little better. So I also have this here at 120, which is good. I like that. So yeah, so we could proceed. So I like this text. Yeah, I like the size. Yeah, it's big enough. So let's continue. What else do we have on this page? Okay, we have a search bar, okay, and a button, and we also have this image. So yeah, so let's do something like this also. If we want to do something like this, it's not compulsory, but we could do something like this also. So let me first start with this blue background or purple blue we have at the back here. So yeah, let's do something like that. So we could have our rectangle. Let me see where that's tied so we can get it accurately. Okay. So we could just draw that from here. Let's start from somewhere around here. Yeah, so let's leave it this way first. Let me make sure. Yeah, stretch it a bit. Okay, it works like this. So let's make sure it takes part of the page. Yeah. So now I know you're probably wondering why is this particular box extending beyond the margins? We said all the elements should be aligned to the margins. Why is it not extended? So when I'm talking about elements being aligned to the margins, it's basically involves elements more like text and buttons or any other thing on your design. But when it comes to colors and shapes, they could extend past the margins. Colors and shapes could extend. But when you have text and buttons, you want to make sure they are actually, in within the margins. So when you have elements like shapes or colors, if I were to have a fill on all this first section now on this whole page, yeah, I don't need to use margins for the color. So here, if I were just giving an example, if I wanted to give this whole page a color, just this first section I have here, I want to give it a color, let's say, uh, let's just say red, just eyeballing it. Yeah, I want to give it, if I wanted to have it like this, yeah, you could leave it this way. You don't need to start making sure your colors respect margins. That doesn't work. For shapes, colors, yeah, they can go outside the margins. But when you have text and buttons, you want to make sure that they are within the margins. So let's continue with that. Yeah. So I have this image. I want to fill it with that kind of purple color they had over there. So let's get that. Trying to get that type of color they add over there. This is a little bit light. Yeah. So let's use this for now. Then we want to send it to the back because we want the elements on it to be more obvious. So now there's a problem now. Because of contrast, you can see we have a blue button there before. So now using this color, the blue button is no longer obvious. Also, the text here, which was black, is no longer showing here. So you need to be careful of things like that. You need to make sure that your contrast, your color contrast is very, 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 very sharp so that your elements are very visible. So we can change the text here to white, just so that way we can have a better yeah, so you can see it's more obvious now. Also, this button, we can change the color of this button because the blue and the purple is not working for color contrast. So we could change this fill, we could change this to, let's try something like reddish purple. I'm trying to get like, okay, let's leave it like this for now. We'll still change this, but let's leave it like this for now. So yeah, so we have this particular color here. So now, as you can see, the color is more obvious now because the purple and the blue are not working together before, but now it's working together. So yeah, so it's more obvious now. We can see that now.